Hey homies, today let's take a crack at some crazy bleep that occurs in King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, edited by Andrew Lang. It's pretty whack, so let's get started on the quest for the Holy Grail Part 1.
Alright, so first of all the knights figured out that the Holy Grail did exist. And so they were all like deuces and went to go after it. And because of that, the kingdom fell and King Arthur was devastated. Next we have is, so the king wants to go on this journey and his queen Guinevere is all like, bitch, no, you is staying here or else you have to have a spy with you so I can know what's happening. I ain't trying to let no other person be with you. And so the king's all like, aight, and lets her choose the spy to go with her. And so this kid named, what's his name? Chouse. This kid named Chouse is all excited because he got picked by the king and queen. And so he stays up all night trying to wait for the king. And he falls asleep next to the fire.
So this squire kid named Chouse, but let's be real, who the hell names their kid Chouse? Well, anyways, he believes in his dream that he's late for the king. His sorry ass is so out of whack. So he finds the king, tries to find the king, and he's riding on his horse, and then he finds kind of like a church, a chapel thing. And inside he sees these gold and wonderful candlesticks, and he's like, let me just steal a candlestick for the king, because who doesn't want a candlestick as a freaking gift? So he gets a candlestick, which is next to a dead knight, because that's respectful, and he goes to give it to the king, but this guy on his journey stabs the hell out of him. So he got a big old sword in him, and then he wakes up screaming like a baby because he got stabbed by this guy in a dream, but it's not a dream. I guess it's a dream. But turns out the knife is inside of him, and he does have the candlestick. So then he yells, I'm dying, like a little kid. And then the king comes rushing over to him and grants him his last wish. How nice. And his last wish was that he can go and confess his sins.
Okay, so our motherfucking squire dies, and the king's all like, this candle must be cursed or some shit, and so we gotta get this out of here. So he sends it all the way to London. And so the king is all like, well, I best be on my way. And so he goes on and does his adventure stuff, and he encounters some sort of chapel in the middle of the White Forest. And he's all like, all right, I'm about to see what's up in this place. And so he finds a bunch of freaking stuff, and he's all like, peace out, I'm about to straighten out my life and rule this kingdom for reals. Alright, so we're talking about the whole situation about this Holy Grail shit. And so let's get to the bottom of this, of how all of this happened. So basically, the king and his court were having this party, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, this Holy Grail just stands in the middle of their table. And like everyone's all wide-eyed and crazy just looking at the damn thing. And so it disappears, and all of a sudden every knight just drops what he's doing and swears that he's gonna go after it. And the king over here crying like a bitch, saying like, no, don't leave me, man, don't leave me. And all of the king, he goes to Galahad, and he's all like, you have to stay with me, and he goes and takes him to his bedroom. Like, that's not weird, right? And so anyway, so the next morning all the knights go to church, and after church 150 of them leave to go on their quest for the Holy Grail. Alright, so Sir Galahad goes on this adventure, and he is traveling down the forest, and he comes to this one white abbey, and he's all like, alright, I'm gonna go sleep here for the day. And so he goes in and he finds some other knights, and he's all like, man, you scared me. And the other knights are talking about it, saying that they found a white shield, and that only the bravest of the brave can hold that shield and wear it upon him and shit like that. And so Galahad over here is all like, alright, I don't mind. And he allows the other knights to take it. He's all like, yeah, you could take it, man. You got this. And so one of the knights takes it. He rides off and he gets hurt, like, bad. And so this one knight, this white knight, comes up and steals the white shield and tells the squire that was with that injured knight to go and give it to Galahad. The squire finds Galahad back at the abbey and he gives it to him, and Galahad rides away, goes on into adventures, and comes back. He comes back to find that this one knight is causing trouble in the graveyard. Like, who does that? And so he comes and takes him out the graveyard and rides away with his squire. And then he goes and finds this castle of maidens. Like, there's some hot chicks in there and they trying to get after him, but he's all like, nah, bitch, nah. And so these knights come and save him. He saves the castle, returns it to this one lady with power, and then leaves. On his next adventure, he's walking through the forest, and then all of a sudden he encounters Sir Lancelot. They fight because Galahad's dressed up all fancy like, and Lancelot doesn't recognize him. So they fight, and then before Lancelot could get back up on his feet, Galahad runs away, and then Lancelot just be left there all tripped up and shit.
Time for analysis. So let's get to the point. Mallory was probably in jail most of his life. Who knows what that nigga did? But anyways, the War of Roses was going on at that time period. And the book in that, it's like this. Because it's kind of similar about how there were rivals in between the knights of King Arthur. And that's kind of what brought down the kingdom. Well, let's get into the real stuff about Sir Galahad. Ever notice anything kind of similar about Sir Galahad? Remind you of anybody in particular? Christ. That's right. I know, how could a crazy story represent one character such as Christ? But I'm going to tell you how. Sir Galahad had a white shield, and that shield kind of represents purity, like Christ. He's kind of honest, true, pure, kind of like Christ in that way when Christ was baptized. That's kind of what happened when Galahad got his shield. That gangsta G was sinless, just like my man upstairs. Tune in next time to see more of this and this.